All right, here goes again. I had to make part two because I got these things in the background, these apps, and it was disrupting it. And I guess that's what I'm saying. It's all just messy. It's like, I can't even make a simple video, without getting interrupted. But that's okay. And, that song lyric was like, it just, like, God knows what we need before we even ask for it. And, I just was like, God, how can we use these technologies, to bring the love, to others, to help, not only in a material sense, because we all have needs, right? We all have physical bodies, and we all need to make money so we can, eat, and I get that, but we also have spiritual needs, and, and it got me thinking, like, can we build something that can bring that love in a way that I can't, the way that you can't. I'm often reminded, like, sometimes I'll meet somebody and then I'll meet another person, and like, what if we could, like, connect all the dots and bring the pieces together, working as a team, because I feel like my role, like, I'm not really good at really anything. Like, I don't know if I really excel at anything, but what I like to do is I like to, like, motivate. I like to just dream big. I like to, this channel, right? The bigger we think, the faster we act, the more we can help. And, and I just playing around now with AI. I'm not a developer by trade. I started really just, kind of, trying to learn and use these tools. And I realized, like, I don't even know what I don't even know. I don't even know what good code looks like. I don't know. But what I do know is God's got this, right? And I think I just feel like God wants, he's like asking and almost like, he's just like, don't you trust me? Don't you know that, my hand's been in this all along? Like, don't you know that I know what you need before you even ask for it? Just don't you trust me? And so, just recently, I was doing some research, and I, more on, like, faith-based AI, trying to, find who else out there is thinking this way, who else out there is building this way, who else out there, gets it, right? That realizes, like, this isn't about just going and making money. And, it's so counterintuitive, like, even sometimes to myself, like, you think you need something, but really no, like, that's probably the last thing you need. Like, what you need is, like, pray, trust. And anyways, be a little bit more concrete. Just recently I came across some, some people and some companies. One company was Gloo, Gloo. I like what they're doing, and they seem like they've really got, like, these are people, these are companies with resources and backing and knowledge and expertise, and they're attempting to serve those who serve, right? To build the AI infrastructure for the church, to build the AI infrastructure, for people that, maybe even people like myself that, I don't have the skills, I don't have the expertise, but maybe I don't need to. And I think maybe that's what this is all about is, maybe it's about the teamwork makes the dream work. Maybe it's about, can we build a system, and I believe we can. Can we build a system that, where my weaknesses can be, complemented and filled by your strengths, and vice versa? Can my strengths help with where your weaknesses are? And what if we could extrapolate, elaborate, whatever the word is, make it bigger, so that the network effect takes over? And it just got me thinking, like, wow, what about all of the people out there You know, what about all of the people that are trying to build things? What about all the people sitting in the church? What about the people in the pews? You know, what about the people that go to church and feel like they're not being seen, or feel like, you know, nobody understands them? What about the people in the world that feel that way, that they feel like they're down to their last, you know, that they feel like they have no hope, you know? And then I came across Missional AI, and I watched some of their videos. I was like, wow, this is good. And then I, you know, found this guy, you know, Faith Tech, and he was spelling out, like, you know, you've got reckless AI, responsible AI, and something he called redemptive AI. And yeah, I mean, I don't even know these people yet, and I want to. Hold on, this thing is buzzing in the background here again. Yeah, I'm a delivery driver, so my apps are, you know, running in the background. But I want to, and then I realized this company Glue, you know, they're not just an idea. They've got real backing. They've got real expertise. They've got real infrastructure. You know, they are looking at how can we use AI not just to give us answers and go do things for us, but how can we use AI to align with biblical principles, to align with human flourishing. And they have like benchmarks and, like, you know, like, and I was starting to see, like, they have tools, you know, that I haven't even played around with yet, but, you know, I've been just trying to see what's out there, you know, to where they can look at every, you know, AI model, and they say within 24 hours of a new model that comes out, you know, they can, and what they're doing is they're saying, how well does that model align to these measures of human flourishing? And, you know, they're the ones that are building in these guardrails, these safe, you know, so that the results that you get are different. They're different than the results that, you know, that you get off the, you know, here goes my buzzer again.